What I try to figure out is, what do they think? What messages have they received in regards to any of these alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs? And then how can I help clarify what it is that they're hearing or what messages they're receiving? So I spend a lot of time talking about the process of addiction and how you move toward it. And part of that is admitting that early on there's not a ton of consequences for the drug use. There's not a ton of negative consequences necessarily early on. So that hits them right where they're living. If we keep saying to them, you do this negative behavior, bad things will happen, and then they have this window of time and bad things aren't happening, then they think we're either lying or they're different or they're unique or they're special or it's never going to happen to them, which is a very adolescent look at things. It's never going to happen to me. It just reinforces that. Well, they told me if I did this, this would happen. Actually, if I did this, nothing happened. I feel good, I feel fine, everything's cool, and I had a lot of fun. Admitting that that's part of the process is a step that lets them identify where their peers are. It's consistent with what's actually happening in their lives. And now when you start moving down that scale or start moving along that process from the negative behavior to what could happen if behaviors don't change, then they can start picking up different points where they see themselves in that process. So you start talking about concepts of moving beyond normal, just not feeling like you used to feel, not hanging out with the same group of friends. We start talking about things about loss and changes. So loss of friendships, loss of relationships with parents, loss of grades, maybe impact in other aspects of life, loss of sports or things that I care about. Give them a chance to talk about and discover maybe for the first time ever things that they value, things that they care about, things that matter to them, and relationships that really matter to them. For instance, if I'm getting from them they're an athlete and they care about athletics and sports, all right, and I do, from the early exploration itself, I see this really matters to them. This is something they feel passionate about. This is something they care about. And that you can see that they're committed to that based on these conversations. Then you start talking about how would your choices impact your team? How might they impact your team that you play with on a day-to-day basis? How might it also impact your future and what you want to get into as far as pursuing this as a lifelong passion? If it is a lifelong passion, how might these choices impact it? Don't tell them how they would impact it. It's asking them to, how might it impact it? And then start looking at, are there other people or other groups in their area that you can connect them with that are like-minded, that can help continue support them in that passion, but also support them in the positive choices as they move along in that passion. And I think that's the way that in a short period of time, again, 4 meetings isn't a lot. That's what I would try and look at.